Because if this hand thinks it's supposed to be going to the target, it's not going to allow the back of the handle to move this way. It's going to drive that way, and then you're fighting. This hand's pushing forward while this hand's pushing forward too, and now it's like you're going to break the shaft in half up top here, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when you release this club back through, because you're releasing it sooner, the face just returns how you had it in your grip. That's one of the reasons why people are taught to roll their hands is because they pull the handle down, look at the club face. Well, now the only way to actually get it to square up would be to just twist the handle and try to do that. But if you actually toss the club head back out in front of you, you don't actually have to do any twisting, right? So, you know how I dispelled the myth of hands ahead at impact, right? Here's where it came from. I don't know if you've seen pictures, but there's some great pictures of some massive divot takers out there, like Bryson Bryson DeChambeau. I saw a picture of him, and it was incredible. I mean, he must have dug so deep. But here's basically what happens. If I have this piece of wood here, and I take this right hand, and I'm doing that, right? Now, if I hit this piece of wood, the piece of wood is going to momentarily stop the club head. So here's what it looks like in slow motion. I pull the club back, and I'll exaggerate just for the sake of this demonstration. I purposely am going to scoop my hands, right? Well, this would be bad, but this is really not physically capable. We're not really capable of doing this. But here's what happens. If I ran into this piece of wood while scooping, that's what's going to happen. All right, I'll do that again. If I run into this piece of wood, so where does my hand end up? It ends up in front without me trying to put it in front, right? So if I run into the ground, I'm trying to do this. If I do this into the ground, the momentum of my hands will keep going because the club momentarily stopped in the ground. So when you see someone with a ton of shaft lean, I'll show you a picture of me at the PGA at Bell Reef. Look at this great picture. My son's on the bag, Hocknell on the back, camera shot from across the fairway, crowd in the back, the guy with the dead cat microphone standing there. And what you'll see is you'll see me hit the ground like this, like after impact, the shaft is bending backwards and there's a huge divot and the ball rocketing off. Well, I did not hit it like this. I was in the process of hitting it like this. I just hit the ground so hard. See that? If I toss this into the ground, what happens? This handle does this because that comes to an abrupt stop. So instead of trying to create that, we try to do what every golfer does, which is this. And if we do hit the ground in a divot, we get that instead of trying to create that from the beginning. Because if I actually tried to create that, I can't even reach the ground. Then what would happen is I would have to like bend over at my waist to try to get both forward shaft lean and that. But if I just toss this in here, it's going to create this buckling of my hands. And a frame by frame photograph, click, 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 is going to capture the club coming in like this. It's going to capture me hitting the ground. It's going to then capture a split second where it lags behind. And then I'm going to finish just like I normally would finish. So if I take a divot, some big divots, if I take a divot in front of the ball, okay, I will have killed all of my club head speed. If I hit the ball and then take a divot afterwards, I will have compressed the ball, but I will still have killed some forward momentum of the club. The divot itself isn't the priority. If it happens, it happens. Like, for example, in a bunker, you know you're trying to get under it, so you basically take a divot before you get to the ball. But in a bunker, you're still tossing the club down into the sand, except you're going through sand. So when you go through sand, the club releases like this. Rough, a lot of times you get forward shaft lean at impact because the rough stops your club head. You're tossing it in here and it stops it momentarily. So this is very, very important because I just told you at the beginning, forward shaft lean, garbage, right? Compression is just getting that line of energy through the back of the ball, a la Tom Watson, Tiger Woods. However, you're going to go watch golf later today or tomorrow, and you're going to see forward shaft lean and divots, but that's why, right? Hence, you never see forward shaft lean or very little shaft lean on a driver because there's no divot, right? So if you're releasing energy on a driver, even those that have their hands pretty forward, like John Rahm, his hands are pretty forward like this, he's still going to impact it, and there's going to be a little bit, the hands will be a little bit in front, but that's a preference on his part of how he likes to deliver the club, not really a rule, right? For us, we want to go ahead and release this club, this energy as much as we can, right? Um, okay, so I wanted to just dispel that myth, and then I wanted to ask a question. So we went from high tee all the way to ground. Did you all make it to ground or stay on the tee? Yeah, just a low tee, right? What were the catchwords that I heard? I heard patient or wait for it. I heard soften the left hand. I heard same as the driver, kind of like tossing it earlier. What did you feel? Yeah, but what did you think about like what resonated with you when you hit a good one there? Yeah, exactly. It feels like you're going this way, right? So all we have to do is think about all the things that happen in normal life. Like if I pulled this bag stand over here and it was made out of wood and all of a sudden it was like Survivor and I had to break this into pieces to make a campfire. If I came in and this is now an axe and I'm going to break through this thing, right? I'm not going to go like this. I'm not going to lag the axe handle down beyond where it's going to be and then hope that I break that way. No, I'm going to use the weight and I'm going to tip this out at the appropriate time. So there's no real um, way necessarily to manually figure out that relationship of arm to wrist, other than you do it all the time in everything else that you do. So just like figure it out already, like just do it. Like even if I was drumming, I'm trying to get the drumstick to hit here. I'm not pulling the drumstick down over here. So there's just everything we do. And then when it comes down to the release of that energy, if I was taking a bowling ball and bowling it down here, I'm not going to lag my wrist and drop the bowling ball out of the back. I'm going to put it in those holes, and then I'm going to release the ball out of those fingers. So don't overthink, like don't get all golfy on me. Don't start thinking what's my other bag of tricks over here from Golf Digest or YouTube or wherever else. You don't have to think of golfy things. This is a stick. This stick could be used to break that. The stick could be used to plow a little trench to plant some flowers or carrots or whatever. The stick could be used to trim trees. However you would use the stick to like smack a tree branch off, it's kind of exactly the same thing you're doing here, right? So good stuff. Yeah. So we'll get back to hitting again. Now what I want you to do is add the speed, but take those things